Welcome to Street Smart Spirituality with your hosts, Barry and Cole, where each week we will be discussing diverse topics of spirituality, including the right use of will, A Course of Love, A Course in Miracles, The Way of Mastery, and much more. Join us on a global spiritual adventure with Cole in Australia and Barry in the U.S. All right, everybody, welcome to episode 12 of Street Smart Spirituality. And you should probably know who we are by now, and if you don't, fuck it. Okay, I'll edit that out, I'm sorry. Anyway, welcome to episode 12 of Street Smart Spirituality. This week's episode is going to be on acceptance. I want to welcome my friend Cole down in Byron Bay, Australia. Cole, welcome.
Hey, Barry. How is it going?
Hey, Cole. Going good. So why don't you, this was your idea. You asked if acceptance was a good topic, and I had a little bit of a problem accepting it, but I'm letting it go. So why don't you lead us off?
Well, see, right there, don't let it go. Just get in touch with your non-acceptance and see if you can accept that.
Yeah,
because
I was giving you shit.
But still, you gave me shit, but also, it's so true. And this is actually, I think there is so much misunderstanding and accepting, because we think often that we should accept, because it says, if you don't accept, it's not going to evolve. Then we go into this guilty feeling of like, well, then I have to accept it, and we begin to accept things that are unacceptable. But what's really necessary is it's not addressing, like, some things are unacceptable, but what has to happen, we need to accept the feelings we have about the unacceptable things. So let me go straight into a scenario. Something's happening, it's mildly triggering you. You stop and goes, how does this make me feel? First, your ego will rush in and fool you with some answer. Then, if you ask deeper, you will have an emotional response, which also needs acceptance. But also, it's not what we really need to look at. Yeah, we need to look at our true feelings. And unless we see or feel the true feelings, we're actually just doing like a mind gymnastics, therapy. We got to get into the real feeling, right? And the real feeling you reach when you begin to deny everything that's not real, right? So your judgments are based on denial of some kind, right? So they're not real. Of course, the Michael says, hey, all your judgments are basically covering you or holding you back from the truth, right? And so are all the other books basically saying, yeah? Like, Course of Love says it beautiful. It's like, all power to effect change come from acceptance. Not acceptance of the way things are, but the acceptance of who you are in the present. See that? So that's a very different thing. So really, what I would like to call this, like if we had a subtitle for acceptance, I would call it non-acceptance of non-acceptance, or acceptance of non-acceptance. But what really happens, mind is this result of separation, right? Our little mind, or what some people call it ego, is a result of separation. This little part said, don't worry, I'll sort this out. And here we go. Thousands and thousands of years later, nothing is sorted out. The world is in a bad shape. Our relationships are often not in a good shape. And so there is a lot to do with this projection, right? So where we need to look at is acceptance of our own feelings about the situation that are happening around us. Yeah? Does it make sense what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Okay. So, where shall we begin? So let's begin in that one. So the scenario is this. To spot our own denials, our own things, are always shown to us in outer reality. Like if you ask me, subconscious, where is it? It's right in front of you. You're looking right at it. All your relationship, all the things that are going on in the world, are a result of your denial of a sort, right? So choose anything out there in the world that bugs you, even mildly, right? Every little twinge of annoyance is nothing but a veil drawn across an intense fury, right? So we're not neutral about what's going on in the world. We have some charge there. And until we discharge ourselves, we'll keep recreating this scenario. So imagine you are a projector in a cinema, right? What does a projector have? It has light, it has the lens, and it has a film. And then we have the screen, right? So the world is the screen. If what's happening on a screen and we go to the screen and trying to change it, we are just seeing the shadows. They're trying to affect something that can't be affected because the cause has not been identified. And the cause is who? The one who puts the film in front of the projector. So you are light, you are the light of the world, and then you have these movies playing. You put a movie and you will have this happening. You have a relationship movie, and you have at work movie, and you have politicians movie, and then you have environmental movies. You have all these movies showing up what's going on in the world. Representation of your inner suppressed feelings and thoughts. So we got to go the other way. So we use the screen to point us to the movie, right? So how does that stuff on the screen make you feel? And now the second step is to really get in touch with the feeling that this is bringing in us. And that is the hardest step, because the mind decided that it knows all the feelings and it knows what it's feeling. Mind is an unconditional non-acceptance of feelings. That's what mind is. It created itself away from feeling, right? And it made itself super intelligent to cover up for what's really suffering. Because, anybody who tells you, hey, yeah, I'm good, I'm really good. You go, really? Yeah, really good. 100%? Well, 99, And right there, 99 is not 100%. And in truth, there is either truth or illusions. There's no in between. There's not a little bit of truth, a little bit of illusions. Does it make sense?
Yeah, definitely.
So, yeah. So we're looking at the absolute original cause of everything. Yeah? Because fixing up effects hasn't worked. We need to find the cause. Course in Miracles says, identify the cause. Righteous Soul goes, original cause 1 and 2. 2 volumes are just on this original cause. Just realizing that everything is coming from this separated self. And the world is just like a representation of what we're holding in ourselves. So, here is the situation. How does the situation make me feel? Really? This is where Holy Spirit, or asking God for help, or asking whoever, angels. If angels is your power supply, go ask them. Well, ask whoever you can. It's a calling of the heart that really wants to heal. Because without this deep, deep, deep intent to heal, the healing will not occur. And so once you really get in touch with your true feeling, and I didn't say feelings, I'm talking feeling. Because every situation has one root feeling. Period. If there's many feelings, you're still more in your emotional body, which is not wrong, and you need to go through that. But underneath the emotional body is your full feeling body. I just dropped myself in again. Here we go. So now, when this real feeling body begins to appear, it's like, when you jump in the ocean, like on the surface, it's all nice. You start going deeper and deeper. You're going to feel the pressure of the ocean. The deeper you go, the more it presses, and you kind of have to get used to this diving in. Yeah, diving into the feelings and actually allow yourself to not to come out straight away. But what it really is, the minute you start dipping in, you will feel this non-acceptance. And you will see that your relationship to these real feelings is not necessarily good. If you think it is very good and you're still seeing the world you see, then you might be not fully honest with yourself, right? Now, if wherever you go, you see heaven and you see the golden age appearing, then you have done this. But unless you can manage this depth of the feeling, which is really like being 100 meters under the sea level, as you can handle it and you can remain in there, that's how you create the sustained Christ consciousness, not just the momentary episodes when you feel a bit of light or you feel a bit of light, a love, and then something happens and boom, the love is gone. It's because the feelings are really not grounding that experience. So it's really not even what we feel, but what is our relationship to these feelings. So now you're in this deep ocean, and how do you relate to it? And it's this relationship that needs to be looked at and healed, rather than thinking we have to heal the feelings. Because feelings are actually just a part of us that reflects our thinking, our real thinking. So I wanted to bring this up and just have a look at this whole idea of acceptance. And can we truly accept how we feel? So, you want to try some?
Sure.
So, tell me an issue.
This better not be a setup.
It's not a setup. It's like,
Yeah, you know my humor by now.
Yes, I do. I love your humor, man.
Unfortunately.
At
Okay,
times.
let's see. You want an issue that I've got?
Yeah, and you know what? You don't even have to tell me what it is. Truly. This is what I do with my patients. My patients, my clients, like, tell me what's up. And when they're just about to say it, like, you don't actually have to even address it. Just tell me how it makes you feel. So because we are in a public thing, you don't have to name it. But if you want to name it, cool. It will be more visible.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I'm about 100% perfect. Okay, I'll humor you on this one. Yeah, I think. Yeah, it's not really an emotion though.
Good.
I don't know.
Take your time, Barry. This is really good. See, what you're doing, you're not rushing with your mind out and trying to name it. Because naming it is not, it's just Adam naming the animals. It's not it. It's like, you taking your time, and that's valuable. That it's that important pause. We're actually not rushing in and trying to define something real quickly. We're already dipping in. Like I can already feel like energy between us is right there. We're dipping in a little bit.
Yeah, it's without naming it, it's not reaching my full potential, and it feels like this is an old common saying in manifestation circles, but that you are your own worst enemy. So
okay, so what's the feeling?
Frustration.
See how
frustration.
Good. Okay, so can you allow yourself to feel that?
Constantly.
Good. And frustration is not even a feeling. Frustration is about this kind of like incapacity or inability to actually reach true feelings, right? But let's just stay with that one, because when you feel that, what's your relationship to that frustration?
Adversarial.
Yeah, exactly. And right there, you split yourself into two. There is Barry, the good guy, and there is this, not good. So now you made duality. Right there in that moment, you made yourself into two. Now you can talk about God until cows come home. You're in a dual reality because there's you and another part of you that's actually not good. Right? So you get rid of part of yourself. Right? Or you want another part of yourself just to be different than it is. Because that's the frustration. You want it to be something else. I want to be happy, or I want to be full of love, or I want to be powerful. I want to be whole and full, right? But I'm not. And so that little part gets rejected. So that part is actually getting non-acceptance. True?
True.
Good. And now, feel the non-acceptance and notice if you can accept it. Can you accept the non-acceptance?
Yes.
And just be as real as you can be. Like, this exercise requires more honesty than we are generally accustomed to using. Right?
Yeah, I can accept the non-acceptance. That seems to be the par for the course lately, yeah.
Yes. So can you 100% accept it?
Yes.
100?
Sure.
Very good. So if you're having 100% acceptance, you will have to feel shift. The frustration would have to begin to move. Yeah? Mm-hmm. If it's not moving, then you just actually actively lying to yourself. So if you feel there's a massive shift happening in that frustration, and the frustration is dispelling itself, it's no longer happening, you have an acceptance, because acceptance is what love is, and love heals everything. But until you see that there is a non-acceptance in itself has a non-acceptance embedded in it. This might take a moment, but this is the deepest thing I've ever come across. Because the minute I saw that my mind was an unconditional non-acceptance of itself or anything that it feels, not real healing was occurring. Once I saw it, I was free. Because the minute I saw that I'm an unconditional non-acceptance of myself, I was asking myself again the same question: can I accept that? And the answer was what? No. And then I said, well, can I accept that? The answer was no. I was like, okay, this is not good. Can I accept that? No. How about that? No. How about that? No. Can you see what I'm doing?
Yeah.
I was going, I am screwed. Right?
Who exactly are you having this conversation with, though? At what level?
It's that thing. See, it's all between the thought and a feeling.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't accept the feeling, if the spirit or your mind or your upper self, the part that's thinking right now, unless it can unconditionally love the will, the spirit, the will, the feeling body, the feeling body actually cannot open to it. The lotus flower is closed, right? And you can visualize it, and you can sprinkle golden light over it. You can do anything with it. The non-acceptance, the will never trust you. The feeling body of you will never trust the part of you that's rejecting it. And this is the root of all evil. Because that non-acceptance of the self is what's creating the reality outside of ourselves. Right? So you might even say, yeah, of course I have an acceptance of myself. And you know what? The spiritual mind does this all the time. Of course I accept it. Everything is love.
I didn't say that.
No, you didn't. But all the other guys do, you know. So, I'm pushing this strong because this is cream. This is cream of it all. Because if you actually realize that you have this unconditional non-acceptance of the feeling self, you begin to heal it. So I said to myself, can I accept that? No. And how about that? No. And that? No. How about this? No. And I'm going, okay, I'm screwed here. But I kept going just for the fun of it. And when I saw the amount of non-acceptance I had for myself, you know what happened? This tiny little compassion for the self was born. It's a tiny little love that just emerged like a brand new, fresh thing saying, and listen, I'm still here and I still love you and we can heal this together. But I needed to get to that level of devastation. I mentioned it a few times in a podcast saying that it was always somewhere on my knees when I was in total devastation that big shifts and big revelation begin to happen. And to get to this place where I could see that I am like an unconditional non-acceptance of myself, there comes this part of ourselves, this inner Holy Spirit, or name it, whatever you like. There are so many different names for it. Is this intent to heal, a deep intent to love. Something that was placed in us. If we lose our way, that is always there. But at times, we really have to find ourselves on a very low before we can go very high. Otherwise, you go high and you fall down. You go high, you fall down. Because the foundation is missing. The spiritual foundation is the will. It's what I'm talking about, the mother of creation, the feminine. That's the turbo, that's the power, that's the essence of being. And until that is fully forward and going, we could be just thinking we're awake. For years I thought I was awake until I go like, gosh, I was just spirit polarized. I was just high on light, but my light was sparking by attacking my feelings. I was just getting like a spark of it. I was horrible. So I know this is kind of a full-on thing to go on about, but I think this is where, if we are having anything to offer, I reckon this is it. Because once you have this incredible acceptance, when the spirit actually accepts its own reflection, because that's all the will is doing, it's just reflecting it, the feeling begins to inform, and the unknown becomes known. And then a brand new creation happens because you begin to create instead of making stuff up. Imagining things you want, like, I want a new car. Because it's something from the past you want in the future. I want this, and when I have it, it will make me happy. No, it won't. It won't ultimately satisfy you at all. The only thing that will fully satisfy you is the birth of Christ in you. And that can't happen without the will, or only temporarily. You have moments of like oneness for a day or two, and the third day going down again. Unless you can sustain it, and you can't really sustain it unless you're in touch with your true feelings. So hence the acceptance subject.
It's amazing how many, as the energy is changing over the last couple of years, and everything is becoming more expansive, and more people are having, little tastes of awakening. They cling on to that little taste, and then they claim that they are fully woke. Yeah. And you and I have had this conversation a dozen times. And it's not, like I was woke in January 2015, and it says, unfortunately, no, you weren't. I mean, you were given a taste of, the potential, but it's an ongoing process. It's not a single event.
Yeah. And, thinking about others, it's like a delaying maneuver, because only you can be accomplished. Only you can be accomplished. You can't change the world until you change yourself. So step number one, how am I feeling about all this? How am I feeling about that guy who said this? How does that make me feel that this is happening in the world? Yeah? And then really get in touch with the real feeling and noticing the relationship and healing it in myself. So I don't have to wake up tomorrow and meet this guy who's going to tell me this or that. So true forgiveness is really that the things to forgive will stop appearing. True forgiveness is not when you see something and you're like, oh, I can see that these people are this way or that way, but I forgive it. That's arrogance, because you put yourself above. What true forgiveness is when the situations to forgive stop occurring. So if there is nothing to forgive in my life, good. I've practiced forgiveness. Forgiveness of who? Forgiveness of myself. Because you're never forgiving. See, notice if there is someone to forgive, it's only because they're annoying you for some reason. And when they're annoying you, where is the annoyance? They're not annoying. You are annoyed. So we always have to bring it down to ourselves and notice that forgiveness is not of anyone else except myself, because I have projected this image that needs forgiveness. Right? It's like, but sometimes instead of accepting the reflections, we nail them. And that is the crucifixion, There's a Christ on the cross, and now he can't move. You nailed him up. But what you don't see, that you nailed yourself with him. So your resurrection is, okay, I'm stuck to a cross. I can't even move. I need help. So here comes this compassion for yourself that pulls the nails out. And you begin to forgive not anyone out there, but yourself for projecting them. Right? But if you're already there and you haven't fully forgiven them, they're there only to show you what you need to do within yourself. Right? And this is how we can heal the world that we see. The world is actually neutral. We come in and we nail our perceptions on it. And then we see it out there and we say, look, I don't like what's going on over there. But it's always and always something we don't accept in ourselves. That we don't want to see. And healing, if any healing really occurs, is to find in myself, healing in myself, so I never have to forgive. So I never condemn, because you have to have a condemnation even to forgive something. So you come into this place in you that has forgiven the world. And you basically, instead of seeing these projected images of some kind of form of non-acceptance, you will see Christ in every face you look into. You cannot not. It's like you don't even have to try. You just look at them and you have tears in your eyes, because you're like, oh my God, there you are. Oh my God, there you are. And somebody who I would have nailed to the cross 5 years ago, suddenly I see my Savior in there. And that's how you remember God, because that's how you remember yourself.
You in your space again?
With you, my brother. That's a good space.
No doubt about it. Best seat in town.
Best seat in town. And then sit in it, That's a real meditation. Because this is not a kind of like a little quiet moment. This is ecstatic, This is why the dervishes begin to whirl and dance, because they just wouldn't know what to do with that energy, because it was so incredible. And then people saw them and they go, ooh, they whirl, maybe I need to whirl. So I get that way. And so now people are spinning and nothing's happening. So, you know what I mean? It's very hard to describe any of this, but I think it is when it's felt and when it's deeply felt, it's obvious. So yeah, it was my favorite subject right there, acceptance. And even greater subject than non-acceptance. Because what we see out, unless we feel completely in love with whatever we see, genuinely, there is a level of non-acceptance in ourselves.
Why don't you...
so the form... let me just start. Okay, yeah. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say later on, why don't you share some of your favorite lessons from A Course in Miracles on acceptance, if you would, after you finish your thought?
Well...
Or did you?
Yeah, pretty much doing it. I love this trilogy. From my personal experience, the trilogy of Course in Miracles, Course of Love, and Right Use of Will, they all talk about the same thing from different perspective. The Course in Miracles is more from the spirit perspective. Course of Love addresses the heart. It addresses the mind, but only just to appeal to the heart. Right Use of Will is like the course in feelings. And it has a radical approach. It's not a gentle way, like Course in Miracles, Course of Love, a little bit gentler on you. Right Use of Will, it's radical. It's really radical because it drops you into the worst feeling you can ever allow yourself to feel. But it gives you this roadmap. It gives you the roadmap, and the roadmap is the steps to healing and a complete recovery. Because it gets you to begin to heal the feelings. Your own spirit heals the feelings within yourself. That's all I'm saying here. So pretty much I've covered it all up. I've covered up the lessons. Okay. In a way. Yes, I had this idea today that maybe we'll talk about my favorite lessons in the Course in Miracles. But this morning, from the very beginning, I was actually talking to somebody who called me from hearing my talks, and we had a quick little session, and it was all about this acceptance. And then I went to drop my car off to a repair, and somebody comes, a mother of a child that I teach in a school, and next minute, we're dropping into this feeling world. I can't even not do it, it just happens everywhere. And I come home, I've got these visitors in here, and we're just looking at this whole acceptance thing, and it's like, I say, hey, spontaneously, I think this could be a good subject to bring up. Because I think this is where, I think acceptance can be a little bit misunderstood, because we really believe we need to accept everything. We do, but it's more like we need to accept our feelings about everything and not everything. Because some things are unacceptable, like murder. I mean, do you accept murder, genuinely? or rape, or animosity of high level, or this crazy stuff that's going. Some of the things are not acceptable, but our feelings about this situation can be accepted. And when these feelings are accepted, they will no longer project this reality for us. So I can put myself in a little haven where everything is fine. I switch off the internet and everything is good. I'm here, surrounded by trees, nature. Nothing's going on, right? But you open it up a bit wider and, there's an insane world. Or, like last year, suddenly Australia's on fire, and I'm going, okay, I better secure my house to these dangers that are happening over. Like we were really seriously having like 20 kilometers from here. We couldn't breathe in the morning. And then you go, aha, how's this make me feel? And then going through terror of that, it was terrifying. And then comes the virus. And when you really ask yourself, well, how am I really feeling about this? Yeah, I had a lot of feelings come up that did not have acceptance in me. And then moving them, and I'm feeling fine now. I feel okay with this somehow. Yeah, and we were lucky because it's not so strong around here. But people find themselves surrounded by it. I have a friend somewhere in Montreal who's like, he's got it all over the town. So, he's sitting at home, hopefully moving his feelings around it,
Yeah, people living in high density areas, they're basically screwed.
Yeah. And we can't just, I think people who think this is not real, should maybe go and visit the hospitals and just to see how easy it is to breathe in there. You know what I mean? That it's, that things are happening, and people say, well, no one I know died. It was like, well, I know quite a few who died. So it's, how many degrees of separation can you go into? But anyway, that's not the point. The point is acceptance here. And, the form has been expressing imbalance, because it always expresses the essence. And the essence of our spirit and will are definitely not balancing in the heart. That's the fact. So this denial of our spirit has caused many people to let the judgment and programming around their minds, you see? And denial of their feeling have basically just reinforced that, because the will keep reflecting that. And until they begin to see the contribution that will has to offer, this will be a continuous reality of the world we make. We don't create this world, we make this world. Anyway, there's pain, sickness, and suffering. It's made from denial. It's definitely not created from love. Because when I fall into this part of me that creates in love, that's a whole different reality to enter. And that, for me, to be honest, that's just the beginning. For me, that's only started recently, and as I'm creating these new realities within myself, they begin to manifest on outward. See, because the feelings are magnetic. And so anything you reject in your feeling way, it will draw magnetically to all these situations to yourself. So the actual feeling body can relieve itself. It can bring it up in you so you can heal. So it's a perfect healing scenario if we can use it that way. So the feelings have to begin to open a space to receive our own thought. But to do that, the will or the feeling body must feel this unconditional love of its own spirit. And this is the key. That's the original cause of everything, because the will is only reflecting what the spirit is doing. So if you say, I hate my feelings, you're hating that which the feelings are reflecting to you that you are. And so there's no way out of there. So...
Yes, I want to interject something too. I mean, we both pretty much agree on the significance of Course in Miracles, A Course of Love, Right Use of Will. Our reading list is pretty complementary. A Course in Miracles can be found very easily on the internet. A Course of Love, and the book that we both are crazy about, is a little bit hit a little bit deeper. But if there's anybody that is really sincerely interested in studying A Course of Love, drop me an email to the email on the video template, streetsmartpodcast@gmail.com, and I will send you a link for a real special treat in regard to A Course of Love, and then everything else like A Course in Miracles. We're doing the daily, here again, Cole beat me into it. We're doing the daily lessons on the YouTube channel. There is we did the 1 through 60, and then I took a little bit of a break, started up again, and I
Course
think
of
we're
Miracles.
Course of Miracles. I think we're on 269 now. So it'll give you a taste, and if it's something that really resonates with you, I suggest you download. You can find the A Course in Miracles workbook and lessons on the internet in PDF form.
Yeah.
But see if it resonates with you, and then start your lessons. And like I said, if you're really interested in A Course of Love, drop me an email and I'll hook you up.
Great. And also if you go to the I think Marie Perron, or the publisher, they made 24 chapters available. If you just write to them, and they can send you a PDF if you want to have a quick look. And
no comment. I've also got at the end of the Course in Miracles, there's a section called 40 Days and 40 Nights, and I managed to squeeze that Course of Love, and I managed to squeeze that out of their death grip. So that'll also give you another taste of people that read the 40 Days and 40 Nights are just blown over by the beauty of it. So
beautiful.
And giving out something like that by piecemeal, no comment, but anyway.
Okay. I think there is something there that could maybe get a little bit of how does that make you feel, Barry? There's something there that maybe we could work on afterwards.
Don't get me started, bitch. This has been a 10-year journey. It's not just them. I've dealt with people all over the world like this. So I accept it for what it is now, and I'm pretty sly now, so I can find a lot of ways around a lot of stuff. So
okay.
God bless him for bringing it forth. And
yes, listen, I'm so grateful. There's actually a new book coming out also that Marie Perron, who helped to scribed the Course of Love. She's coming up with a new book called The Way of Marys, Merari, which is like, I don't know if that's the right pronunciation, but it's all about from like the teaching of the mother of Jesus, and it's the whole feminine, the way of Mary, more of the inner approach, the feeling approach. It should be out within about a month or two. So that's a whole new thing that's coming out.
Yeah, and if you're not familiar with it, Pamela Cribe, who also channeled Jeshua, has about 3 or 4 books. She also did a book on Mary, and I don't know if I sent you the link, Cole, or what your opinion was of it.
Yes, I do. You did, and I did listen. And I also like it. It's for me personally a little bit watered down. Still very good, but I don't think there's a full understanding of this, what we're talking about in here, the denial of feelings. I don't think has that depth as like A Course of Love has. Still very good though. I think it can be easier on a person. So you got to really go with what you're attracted to. Like if you're reading a book and you're like swallowing it, that's the one. And no one has a right to say what's what. It's only in my understanding is that recently I started looking at it again, and I have to say I was just going like, this is just scratching the surface in it. But it's very good, also very, very good what she's come up with. But for me, this trilogy so far is unbeatable. The Course of Love, Course of Miracles, and Righteous Soul is... I haven't found anything more profound yet. And if anybody have, please let us know. And yeah, I'm always very interested to see. Well, obviously the Urantia book is just like, it's almost like instead of going in, it just goes so far out, and it makes us aware of things that we couldn't possibly even dream about. Really, I mean, I'm so looking forward when you start going to the beginning of the book. It's really interesting how you started actually both. You start with the Course of Miracles, then you went like, this, and now you started from about lesson 70 something, and now you're going beautifully through the rest of it. But there's gonna be few to fill in. But also with Urantia book, you started with the book 4 of Urantia. Which is the story of Jesus. And yeah, I can't wait for you to start doing number 1 and 2 and 3. Well, I think it'll probably take about a year.
I think what the big problem is, and why this maybe one of the reasons why it's never really gotten full traction is, if people start with if they start from the beginning to the end, they're not going to make it. I mean, the first... it's just, I had the same problem. I mean, somebody made a comment on YouTube today, and I said, I tried literally like 10 times over the last 2 or 3 years to record it, and the vernacular and the pacing and the words are just, they're just not, I'm not going to say they're not human, but they're just a totally different rhythm, and I had such the worst time with it. And then I tried it again 2 months ago, and I just figured, well, first of all, my interest was in the life of Jesus, and I just figured that would be an easier read and an easier introduction to most people. And, we'll get them softened up, and then we'll go into the stuff that'll just totally blow your mind off your shoulders. And, maybe that's the best way to do it, is to back into it.
Yes.
But I mean, we didn't have that problem with A Course of Love. Course of Love was just, like walking up to a cathedral and throwing the 2 main doors open. It was just, from word 1, from page 1, it was just, beauty incarnate. It's incredible. So, like I said,
I know.
if you're not familiar with it, we talk about it all the time, and it is so funny. I know so many people that study Jeshua teachings and stuff like that, and I say, hey, have you ever read Course of Love? And they go, nah, that really doesn't interest me. And I said, I want to take a 2x4 over their head, because you're judging. It's coming from the same source as A Course in Miracles and the Way of Mastery, and you can't call yourself a teacher if you're not going to, assimilate everything that's available for you to learn and understand.
Yeah, and I had also a lot of trouble reading the Urantia book because I also wanted to start from the beginning. Lucky I did the Jesus story because I was so interested in Jesus' life. And then I was building here under the house and I'm just going to make myself listen to it. I'm not going to read it. It's going to make myself listen to it. So on a YouTube are some really old recordings, like they sound like from 60s. And I just kept listening to it over and over and over. Because as you say, there is a vocabulary that they need to use words, new words that we don't actually have in the English language. So they had to make up words. And as you keep reading the book, those words will make themselves understood. And there's also a dictionary that, the foundation for whatever the Urantia Foundation will provide. And they are wonderful. That will help you with these words that are they do manage to describe it quite well. So it's a handy tool to have. But wow, Urantia book, I bow down. I just bow down very deep.
Yeah, and if you start reading the Urantia book and A Course in Miracles and A Course in Love at the same time, your head's going to blow up.
Well, they're masterpieces. They're not something you do once, like people say, oh, I've done the workbook. Yeah, well, try again.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I beat this in all the time on the channel. So many of these books, they're just so beautiful. And, somebody goes, geez, I read it again and I just got so much out of it. And I said, yeah, read it another 12 times. And I mean, something like Urantia and something like A Course of Love, you don't read those, you embrace them and you ingest them and you live them. If you don't live them, it's just another pulp novel that's going to end up on your bookshelf getting dust all over it. So, yeah, if you can't tell, both Cole and I really enjoy A Course of Love, as well as Urantia, as well as Course in Miracles. And
for me, I did the Course in Miracles for 30 years, and then and I do the Righteous for 20 years. But you know what? I had such a conflict doing the two. I could either do one or the other. But ever since the Course of Love came in, I've integrated the two. I could never really do them at the same time. Now it all falls into place. And actually, something that in Righteous for All used to terrify me and really flip me out. Now actually seeing how it's being constructed, and actually the section that used to freak me out, I'm actually smiling through them because I can see what the denial behind all this atrocious manifestation is about. That the denial creates the reality we see. And, if we can return it and reverse it and start using the reality that seemed to be appearing outside of ourselves and begin to do the reversal process, which is using the reality out there, bringing back to how it makes us feel, then thank you for the reality for showing me. And now my homework is between me and these feelings. Heal the relationship between your feelings, and your heart will explode to a brand new thing. And any idea about love or heart you might have had are now obsolete. And the truth is, any ideas of love and heart we have are obsolete, because right now there's a brand new heart. And the heart of yesterday is an old heart. So the creation is brand new in every instant. And to be able to be on it is the real art of thought. So anyway, blah blah.
Yeah, I mean, I would strongly suggest for people to, either A Course in Miracles or A Course of Love, and then after you've ingested that, then move on to Right Use of Will. Because if you if you start with Right Use of Will, you're not coming back for a while.
Yeah, but you can't say that, because like Course in Miracles has 3 books in it. One is text, one is the workbook for students, and there is also manual for teachers, right? And some people love the workbook. I mean, I was completely in love with that workbook. I still am. Text took me a long time before I was even daring to open that. And now that the manual teachers is just basically going like, whoa, is this what's in it? And so you never know which book is going to go how with anybody else.
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying from my experience. I mean, the Right Use of Will. I mean, the Right Use of Will is written, to trigger you, and it does, and it will, consistently over and over again.
That's it.
The Course of Love.
Until guess what? The triggers that previously pissed you off and annoyed you or dropped you into gap or the worst possible scenarios of your life suddenly will turn, and you will start getting triggered into love and into this depth, on the depth of the ocean. And instead of being just 60 meters underwater, you go 200 and you stay there. You remain, you gain the capacity and the personal power to remain in the depth where the pressure of creation is like, it's on steroids, man. It's like, it's intense.
I mean, that's my point. All of these texts that you mentioned and I mentioned are so incredibly deep and layered that you can't possibly expect to, even get 10% of it by reading it once or then moving on to the next one and moving on to the next one. I mean, we hear people all the time going, "Oh yeah, I read A Course in Miracles, I read A Course of Love. It's good stuff. Blah blah blah. What's the next shiny object I can play with?" So it's up to you to dive the depth of the wisdom in any or all of these books.
But most of all, the most important thing that I found is feel what it's saying. Feel it. Like Course of Love actually has this part called addendum, and it says, rather than trying to figure out what it means, go instead in a place and find out how does it make me feel what I'm reading. And honestly, same thing with Course in Miracles. Course in Miracles using the word mind a lot. They associate often mind as like a mind of God, mind, but unfortunately there's a danger with Course in Miracles to take the whole thing in the head. And it also has these ideas that you got to teach it. And so people take the bits and pieces from Course in Miracles and they think they have to teach the world because they need to hear it. It's no. It's like you got to hear it. And then when you hear it, you remember who you are. And that is what will teach the world instead of the texts. And, there were a few example lives at the beginning of the Course in Miracles where they decided they need to give lectures on A Course in Miracles. I mean, Course in Miracles is self-explanatory. It says, practice this, reach the love, and then walk the world and shine who you are on the world. It didn't say go out there and preach. And so that is a tiny little thing with this mind. What actually mind means in Course in Miracles is your thought and the feeling together. Actually, if you ever do Course in Miracles, when you hear the word mind, just translate it more into the feeling than a thought. And watch the difference. Suddenly the whole book is rewritten. And this happened to me a few times with the Course in Miracles. Like I read the Course in Miracles with with my yellow glasses. And one day, miraculously, a new glasses came on. Just by realizing that some of the words don't actually mean what I thought they mean. And suddenly, I was reading that with blue glasses. And then that took a while until my mind and my heart and my feelings got trained to be no longer opposing each other. And then suddenly I got the red glasses, and suddenly the whole book's rewritten again. And the same thing happened with Right You So Will, because I read the first book many times, but then I read the whole series. And then after the whole series, I read the first book, and the first book was completely rewritten for me. I'm like, oh wow, I really never understood what this is saying. And just before this, I sat here with my friends, and we were reading The Acceptance from the Blue Book of Right You So Will, and we were all just like, oh my God, like it's no matter how awake you get, this will take you deeper. There's no doubt about it. So you never become a tombstone of knowledge, because it's always brand new, it's always evolving, it's always opening to a new creation. Not making stuff up. You don't take something from the past and you mock up something new. That's not creation. It's just not making shit up. And that's what's happening in the world. You go to the news and it's like making shit up, man. And people eating it. And some spiritual masters saying, oh yeah, I watched the news and I forgive the politicians. I'm like, good, man. That's very evolved. So anyway, shall we just shut up?
Hey, this just popped in my mind. We can do it. We don't have to do it. What do you say for one of our podcast? What do you say for one of our podcast episodes? Because we both love A Course of Love so much. Why don't we take one lesson, and I'll read it by section, and then you can, add your comment to it. We'll read some more. You can add a comment to it, just to introduce a wider audience to that book. And
did you say Course of Love or Course of Miracles? You mean?
No, I mean A Course of Love.
A Course of Love doesn't really have lessons as such.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about.
Sections. we could take some sections and yeah, we could do that. That would be fun.
Yeah. I mean, I know there's not lessons, there's sections, and you're just being in it. Yeah. Anyway, so okay. Let's think about it. I mean, you've got some really good input on it, and like I said, if it introduces even another 10 people to it, God bless. Let's go for it.
Okay.
But we're running a little bit over the hour 60-minute mark. You want to close things up, or do you got some more you want to share?
Okay. No, let's just close it up. I've got to go and pick up my car, and my ride is here, so I better get going.
Okay.
Yes. So, thank you very much, everyone, for listening. I recommend, if you find any attraction to this, you re-listen to this, because it takes a moment until it sinks in. But yeah, let us know how it went. Okay.
All
right, brother.
Thank you, Cole, down in Byron Bay, and thank you everybody else for giving us a listen, and we will see you next week. Have a good evening.